You know, we're using this word crisis so often, I don't know what other word we need to use to get someone's attention. Crisis at the border, crisis with immigration. And we know Washington has essentially done nothing, turned a blind eye to the southern border, and things have gotten worse. I don't think that's in dispute because our colleagues in Congress on both sides of the aisle have said this. They've gone down there. They've looked at what's happening, and now we have a situation where the upward push of individuals coming across our southern border to New York City has had the mayor there in New York City say, we're done. We can't take any more. He has essentially said that in conference calls with the county executives. Specifically in the town of Newburgh, which is in my district, in the 39th district, with very little notification, a phone call to local town officials and county officials saying, hey, we're sending up a couple of busloads of individuals to a specific motel, and then they went to another one. And right now in the town of Newburgh, in 2 motels, there's 180 single migrant men. Now, they needed a place to stay outside of New York City, which I find interesting because New York City is one of the biggest cities in the world. It is in a very good financial position. Yes, as Senator Ortt said, they're getting $1 billion of our money, even from upstate, to go there to assist with this crisis that they have in the city of New York. But yet they send them north, and I believe they're also going to go east, to other communities with little notice at all, and the possibility, the very real possibility of displacement. Now, they're not displacing anybody in the city of New York. They're using hotels, talking about other types of facilities. People aren't getting moved out of where they are. That is completely unfair, and it is wrong. And talking about the veterans in the Crossroads Motel in the town of Newburgh, this population, and as Senator Ortt said, Sharon Tony Finch was honored here in the Capitol last night. This was an honor that we told her about weeks ago, where she was actually in Walter Reed Hospital, still recovering from things that happened to her years ago in Iraq, that she was going to be the 39th District awardee. I didn't know at that time that her program, which is YIT, had vets in that motel. These are individuals who are dealing with all kinds of issues that I dare say most of us right here, right now, are not dealing with. There's a trust issue. Getting them off the street, getting them in a place where they can feel secure, where they can feel trust, it's a long road. And all of a sudden one day, you're told you're going to have to get out because essentially they get paid $88 a night for a homeless vet where the city of New York is going to give them somewhere around $300. When you move people around, especially ones that are the most vulnerable, that sets them back from a place that you're trying to get them to, and it's just not fair. And with the end of Title 42 enforcement, the situation is bad, it's going to become worse, and other communities throughout this state are going to be faced with the same thing, where these owners of these motels see dollar signs, and they're going to say, okay, we'll take these, cancel reservations, people who are trying to get things done within communities. We've got a tourism industry that's going to be affected. It's just there's such a system breakdown here, and it's because nothing is being done at the border. Even President Biden, who was turned a blind eye, hasn't even been to the border, he said it's going to be chaotic for a while. Well, I would say to the president respectfully, it's a heck of a lot more than chaotic. It's tragic, it's shameful, and it's completely outrageous. And you know, the residents of the Hudson Valley, who Senator Weber and I represent, you know, they deserve transparency. And right now, they're not getting it. We're not getting it. We haven't even been contacted by the governor's office about what's going on in our very district. Not one single phone call, not one single email. I've sent a letter. Senator Weber and I sent another letter. We haven't heard a word from anybody. And you know, we represent, as all of my colleagues behind me represent, thousands of individuals and families in our respective districts, businesses, and they could now be directly in the path of a chaotic situation with no pre-planning for local governments on the path of migrants coming into their communities. And it's the issue of not knowing which I find most disturbing. And when people think of Albany, and I'm honored to be here, and I think most of you know that, the lack of transparency with the entire system of this government, it just erodes our constituents' trust in this state government. And it's always pushed down on the local communities. I just finished 7 years as mayor of the city of Poughkeepsie, and I would never, ever in a million years do something like that. If there's a crisis, we gather, we look at it, and we try to fix it. That's not happening here at all. Now, a judge in Orange County yesterday issued a temporary restraining order, so no one is able to come north. The ones that are there are staying there. Of course, that makes sense. We're not going to push them someplace out. But the veterans are now being moved around a bit, and that's just not good for their life. So what I am proposing to do, and I'm really honored to introduce this bill with Senator Weber. He has been a good friend and a great partner. And this legislation will do this. It's going to protect vulnerable persons, including veterans and others, who are currently staying in motels. I mean, we know that our motels are maxed out with many individuals who are already displaced. In Dutchess County, my home county, we have individuals who are displaced because of a variety of reasons who are in there with their families. What's going to happen when somebody goes, I can give you more money to the hotel or motel owner? Where are those folks going to do? So this is going to protect the vulnerable populations within our hotel and motel system, because that is right now their residence. That's a place where they're staying. They should not have to leave. And we're already at capacity, as I said. So we're going to see this situation get worse unless we act, and we're going to act. As the leader said, we have been very clear in this conference on these types of policies and what they can do to local communities, and now we are seeing it. So Senator Weber also has a measure that deals with the taking back local control, and I'm going to let Senator Weber talk about that. But we have to have local input. Again, as a legislator, as a mayor, I didn't do anything without talking to people. I didn't unilaterally make decisions that impacted people without saying, hey, can we have a discussion on this? Maybe this is a good idea, maybe this is a bad idea. I can tell you the bad idea that we're seeing right now is what New York City is doing to the Hudson Valley.